The government of Central Equatoria is trying to identify those who are involved in this issue of land grabbing and land occupation. And we will admit as Central Equatoria Beinu and hinawazado fi muasasa patana pita Ministry of Land, Housing and Public Utilities fi issue pinazal they are contributing into this issue of land grabbing and illegal land occupation. And Hakoma Pita Central Equatoria is working very hard to identify these people within the Ministry of Housing and within the Amara institution for Central Equatoria. Said Ashan Nazel will be held accountable, and also identifying some constitutional post holders who are involved in issue of land grabbing and taking public spaces. These public spaces, Mahaladel, it is for public interest and for public consumption. Dema mahal pita individual. Inna mahal alamolo kasle bus park for Jebel Market. And ina binatkallam hasi finas shakalin fogo. Like government pita Central Equatoria had the directives to the new mayor to do findings on Nazdel lazim mahalle eksiru. We want to assure the public and we want to assure everyone that Nazdel ha eksirum.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan.
Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, good afternoon. This is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. Medical workers in the Jonglei State Capital Bor have shut down the main hospital in protest over the recent transfer of more than 30 staff by the State Minister of Health. Governor Jacob Dolan-Root of Upper Nile State has issued a warning to leaders in the state, pledging government action against anyone found prolonging the suffering of internally displaced persons in Malakal. And the Central Equatoria State Minister of Information and Communication has admitted that some officials within the State Ministry of Housing and Public Utilities are involved in cases of land grabbing. This is stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Lasuba Memo, and now the news in detail. Medical workers in the Jonglei State Capital Bor have shut down the main hospital in protest over the recent transfer of more than 30 staff by the State Minister of Health. According to the workers, the strike followed a directive from the Director General of the State Minister of Health to redeploy about 36 medical staff from Bor State Hospital to health facilities outside the town. Mayan Mayol, an associate clinician and one of the protesting staff, said the workers are rejecting the transfers because the new facilities are located in insecure areas and lack proper funding. Mayol said Bor State Hospital has not been operating fully since Friday as the workers have laid down their tools and closed the hospital gates. He explains in the following report.
What is happening here in Bor State Hospital, it was date 5 this month that the Director General for State Ministry of Health made a transfer of some staff out of the hospital to the PHCC, to the PHCU, and those staff, they have been working in the hospital since 2006 when we failed. And when the staff look at it, they will say, no, this could not work. They have a reaction that this could not work. They closed the hospital on the 7th, and on the 7th, they closed the hospital. On Saturday, Sunday, they also start and they open the gate, said that the emergency should be handled. Today in the morning, they close down the main gate. The hospital is not functioning.
Mayol said the shutdown and strike will continue unless the State Minister of Health reverses its decision.
My message is that for us, we have been a long-term services staff. Some of us are in grade 5, some of us are in grade 7. There's no whereby you can take someone from grade 5 and then throw him or her to the PHCC or PHCU with their skills. So the message is that this idea need to be reversed, need to be revisited, want it genuine, transparent. And I myself, especially me, myself, I don't have a problem with the transfer, but my problem is that the area is not functioning. I am somebody with medical skills in general surgeries, in obstetrics and gynecology. So there's no problem. And even if I'm transferred to Moguri or even to Nimuli, where there is operating theater, yes, I have to. Because I have to save life, I have to train people also.
I already contacted the Director General at the State Ministry of Health, Dr. Rieth Kong, earlier, but said he was not ready for an interview as he was in a meeting. The former Minister of Information in Warrap State has raised concerns over the possible collapse of the vital Tonj Bridge linking the region to Juba, Wau, and as far as Abia. Built in 1974, the 49-year-old bridge is now on the brink of collapse, a situation the former official warned could disrupt regional transport and severely impact local trade and economic activities. Speaking to iRadio this morning, former Minister James Ayek Barth said the bridge has deteriorated significantly, losing most of its pavements and iron supports due to age and lack of maintenance. He described the condition of the bridge as worsening and outdated. Ayek warns its collapse would paralyze movement across the Greater Bahar El Ghazal region.
Actually, the Tonj Bridge was constructed in 1975, and the bridge is actually constructed and carries a weight of about 150 metric tons. And currently, the status of the bridge is very bad. When I last visited Tonj, I happened to pass by that bridge, and once I inspected, I realized that the bridge is in a very bad shape. First, most of its cement has broken away. Also, the irons that were installed in it, most of them are broken, and generally the condition of the bridge is very poor. Having been overstayed for so many years, more than 47 years since it was constructed, the bridge is outdated and in a very bad condition.
Ayek appeals to both the state and national governments to act before it is too late.
The concern is that this bridge is actually connecting Greater Barakazal, that is Wau, and connecting to Awil also, Unity State, and all the states of Greater Barakazal. It is a main livelihood bridge and connecting the Greater Tonj, which includes Tonj North, Tonj East, and Tonj South. So most of the supplies that goes to all these areas pass through this bridge. So this bridge, in case it collapses, all the traffic will come to a halt. So it is a concern that we want to bring to the attention of the relevant authorities, more especially the government of Warrap State and the national government, to put it into consideration, that they should not wait for this bridge to collapse, because if it collapses, it will be a tragedy.
The Tonj Bridge links Wau through Kwajok to Awil, extending further to the Abia administrative area, and also connects through Chuaibet, Rumbek, Ural, and down to Juba. Beyond serving as a vital route for Greater Bahar El Ghazal, the bridge facilitates movement and commerce for communities in Tonj East and Tonj South counties. This is iRadio News. The Central Equatorial State Minister of Information and Communication has admitted that some officials within the State Ministry of Housing and Public Utilities are involved in cases of land grabbing. Minister Nyorsuk Patrick said the state government is taking firm measures to identify and hold accountable those responsible, including senior officials accused of encroaching on public land. Minister Nyorsuk reaffirmed that the Central Equatoria government will continue its campaign to reclaim public land and ensure such spaces are preserved for community development and public use. He's speaking in an exclusive interview with iRadio this morning. Nyorsuk pledged that the government is committed to ending rampant land grabbing and illegal occupation across the state.
The other issue about this, about land grabbing and land occupation, the government of Central Equatoria is trying to identify those who are involved in this issue of land grabbing and land occupation. And we will admit as Central Equatoria Beinu and hinawazado fi muasasa patana pita Ministry of Land, Housing and Public Utilities fi issue pinazal they are contributing into this issue of land grabbing and illegal land occupation. And Hakuma Pita Central Equatoria is working very hard to identify these people within the Ministry of Housing and within another institution for Central Equatoria. Said Ashan Nazel will be held accountable, and also identifying some constitutional post holders who are involved in issue of land grabbing and taking public spaces. These public spaces, Mahaladel, it is for public interest and for public consumption. They are individual. I will give you a simple example.
The minister's remarks make a rare public acknowledgement from a state official that elements within government institutions are contributing to the land crisis. Land grabbing has become one of the most contentious issues in Juba and across Central Equatoria, sparking disputes, forced evictions, and rising insecurity in several areas. Governor Jacob Dollar Road of Upper Nile State has issued a warning to leaders in the state, pledging government action against anyone found prolonging the suffering of internally displaced persons in Malakal. The governor spoke about the plight of residents living as IDPs due to fears for their safety, contrasting their situation with others living more comfortably in Malakal town. Addressing the congregation at a church in Malakal on Sunday, Governor Dollar called out internal actors he said were indifferent to the suffering of their people and vowed intervention regardless of ethnic affiliation. The Malakal protection of civilian side has been a sensitive and contested location in Malakal County since the 2013 conflict. As of 7th August 2025, 36,765 IDPs were biometrically registered at the Malakal POC site. The chairperson of the Committee for Finance and Planning at the Transitional National Legislative Assembly says a lack of trust between commercial banks and the Bank of South Sudan is contributing to the ongoing liquidity crisis in South Sudan. Lawmaker Michael Ayuen said findings from parliamentary research indicate that some commercial banks are hesitant to keep their reserves with the central bank, fearing their funds may not be accessible when needed, a situation that has also driven individuals to hoard cashes. Speaking to iRadio during a sundown show, MP Ayuen explained the impact of this trust deficit on the economy. The parliamentarian urged the public to boost local production, particularly in agriculture, as a way to ease the country's demand for foreign currency and help stabilize the liquidity situation.
Well, as per the data that we have collected as Parliament through the Committee on Finance, we discovered that the shortage of liquidity in the market was caused by deficit of trust between the bankers and the commercial banks, and then commercial bank and the central bank. So commercial banks, and to them, they are saying they are not trusting central bank because they keep their money with the central bank and their money is exhausted. When they need it for business transactions, they don't get it. And so does the business sector and the public. So we have seen a clear line that must have attracted behavior by individuals to keep money in their own custodies as a result of deficit of trust.
Last week, the Ministry of Finance and Planning, together with the Bank of South Sudan, encouraged citizens to embrace digital payment systems as part of efforts to address the liquidity crisis. Before international news, Eastern Equatoria Governor Luis Lobong Lajore has held a peace and security rally in Magui, where he addressed reports of civilian harassment and called for peaceful coexistence between security forces and the community. In a Friday post by the Office of the Governor's Press Staff, Ciro Silvio Ewak, Lobong stated that all security organs, including the military and intelligence units, must focus on protecting citizens rather than intimidating or harassing them. Lobong stressed that civilians must never face torture or mistreatment. Addressing public concerns, Lobong condemned arbitrary arrest, roadblocks, and recent reports of youth being beaten by security personnel. He said, and I quote, "Criminal suspects should be handled by the police. Soldiers have no role in arrest," end quote. Lobong called for a clear separation of duties, with the military defending the nation while police handle law enforcement. He instructed local commanders to ensure full compliance and restore public trust. The governor praised Magui residents for their contributions to agriculture, education, and peace building, highlighting the county's key role in feeding Torit, Juba, and beyond. He also encouraged former SPLIO combatants to return home and welcome refugees back into the community. The governor went on to urge all citizens, leaders, and security personnel to unite as sons and daughters of Eastern Equatorial State and focus on fighting hunger and underdevelopment in a state of conflict. This is iRadio News. And now to the international news. Here is Walma Pal.
Presidential runner-up Issa Chiroma Bakri gave authorities a 48-hour ultimatum to release all prisoners arrested in the protest that followed the re-election of Paul Biya. In a video posted on social media on Sunday, Chiroma accused the government of state gangsterism and state terrorism. He also asked authorities to stop practices that he said include ethnic purges. The Cameroonian people no longer want them. The Cameroonian people can no longer tolerate them, he said. Chiroma came second in the presidential election with 35.19% of the vote, finishing behind Paul Biya, who scored 53.66% according to official results. But the opposition leader considers himself the president-elect of Cameroon. Elsewhere, authorities in Tanzania have charged hundreds of people with treason over demonstrations around disputed polls last month, in a major escalation of political tension as the country reels from violence in which an unknown number of people were killed. In addition to dozens criminally charged in Dar es Salaam, dozens more face similar treason charges elsewhere in the East African nation, according to numerous charge sheets that became publicly available Saturday. Wanted suspects include Josephat Gwajima, an influential preacher who had his charge registered earlier this year after he criticized the government over rights abuses. Police also issued arrest warrants for some of the top opposition officials who hadn't yet been jailed. And finally, a deal aimed at ending the U.S. government shutdown has passed the Senate, paving the way for the record-breaking impasse to be broken. After a weekend of negotiation in Washington, a minority of Democrats joined with the Republicans and voted in favor of an agreement. The vote is a procedural first step towards passing a compromise to fund the government since it ran out of money 1st October. It will need to clear several more hurdles, including a vote from the House of Representatives before federal employees and services return, but it is the first serious sign of progress after 40 days of deadlock. That's all from the regional international stories. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Walma Pal. And now to the world of sports. Here's Darlington Moses.
Thank you so much, Lasuba Memo. In the world of sport today, Manchester City delivered a deafening statement of intent to celebrate Pep Guardiola's landmark 1000th match in management as Liverpool were dismissed out of hand at Etihad Stadium. City's 3-0 win carried an ominous warning for Premier League leaders Arsenal, whose advantage at the top was cut to 4 points, while it inflicted a grievous wound on Liverpool and the hopes of back-to-back titles. Guardiola's had to navigate City through troubled waters last season as their historic round of 4 successive titles ended, with questions raised about the 54-year-old Spaniard's ability to rebuild. In some update from Spanish Liga, Robert Lewandowski scored a brilliant hat-trick to help Barcelona move within 3 points of La Liga leaders Real Madrid with victory at Celta Vigo. The Polish striker gave the Spanish champions a 9th-minute lead from the penalty spot after Marcos Alonso had handled Fermin Lopez's shot in the area. Celta Vigo immediately responded as Sergio Carrera finished off a counter-attack 22 seconds after Barcelona's Marcos Rashford had a one-on-one chance saved. Rashford made up for his miss in the 36th minute when his cross found Lewandowski, who restored the visitors' lead with a volleyed finish. And finally, Carlos Alcaraz says he has entered the ATP finals with motivations as he moved a step closer to the year-end world #1 ranking with victory over Alex de Minaur. The 22-year-old Spaniard won his opening Jamie Corners group match 7-6 rather, 7-5, 6-2 in one of in 1 hour and 40 minutes in Turin, Italy. Alcaraz is making his third appearance at the season-ending tournament but has never reached the final before. He withdrew injured in 2022, lost in the semi-finals on debut a year later and failed to qualify for the group last year. This is all in the world of sport, and back to you, Lasuba Memo.
Thanks, Darlington. This is our radio news, and to wrap up this bulletin, here's a recap of the headlines. Medical workers in the Jonglei State Capital Bor have shut down the main hospital in protest over the recent transfer of more than 30 staff by the State Minister of Health. Governor Jacob Dola Road of Upper Nile State has issued a warning to leaders in the state, pledging government action against anyone found prolonging the suffering of internally displaced persons in Malakal. And the Central Equatorial State Minister of Information and Communication has admitted that some officials within the State Ministry of Housing and Public Utilities are involved in cases of land grabbing. That's the end of iRadio News for now. If there is a story or an event you'd like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message at +211 925 287 It's also a WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for news in Arabic at 12:30. I am Lasuba Memo. Thank you for listening.